Anurag, you can keep yourself on.
Okay.
Don't mute me.
Sorry.
I can see Mr. Sodi.
Good morning.
Hi, Mr. Sodi. Anurag over here. Very, very virtual welcome, but a very warm one nevertheless to IGIB. Under better circumstances and better times, we would have had you at our building.
Thank you.
Virtually, then not at all. I am very grateful to Mitali for connecting to you and bringing you here to join us. And it's a pleasure. I think we have most people from IGIB have joined. And a couple more minutes before it is exact 11, at which point I would start. But I hope things are fine for you where you are. And
Yeah.
Pleasure. Just a couple of minutes more. We'll just give people a few more minutes to join and then we will start.
I'll start.
Jyoti, we'll start now.
Yeah. Okay, so very good morning to you all. Welcome to the CSIR-IGIB's Appreciation Day Public Lecture Series. Every year we celebrate Appreciation Day on the 19th of September, and it happens to be also the day we inaugurated our new campus at Mathura Road. This year has been unusual because of the pandemic, we all know that. And instead of being at the auditorium as we always are, we are gathered on a virtual platform. IGIB has been extensively involved in fighting this virus through testing, sequencing of the virus, and making some contributions in the field, which Director IGIB would be talking about in detail later. Today's program has two speakers, the Appreciation Day lecture by Dr. R.S. Sodi and another by Professor S.K. Brahmachari. Dr. Shekhar Mandey, our DG CSIR, is not able to make it personally to this meeting, but he has sent a recorded message which we'll play afterwards. Now, without any further delay, I request Director IGIB to give a brief overview of the Institute and also the importance of the day. So over to you, Anurag.
Thank you very much. Always my meeting showing slide difficulty because you can't see the faces of anybody who are there. At least in an audience, when you show slides, you can see the faces of people. So I thought, let's stay connected. Slides are not what matters. The spirit of appreciation is. And today is a day when we should look at both the past, the present, and look towards the future to appreciate those who made today possible and to appreciate the work of those who are currently making a very, very good future for us possible. Now, IGIB is a constituent laboratory of the Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, a conglomerate, a scientific behemoth, if one must to say, that spans almost every direction of sciences. IGIB was not always IGIB. IGIB used to be the Center for Biochemical Technology. And it's a pleasure to also have today with us our distinguished guest, Professor Sameer Brahmachari, who made Institute of Genomics Integrated Biology from the strong foundation of the Center of Biochemical Technology. And it's also equally important pleasure for me because today I thought It's about longevity, about holding a constancy of vision, about making things possible that people would not have believed. And I'm so glad we are joined by Mr. Sodi, who we'll hear more about later, I'm sure, but has spent a very, very large part of his career as a person building one of the biggest brands of India, but mostly from behind the scenes, having a vision, moving the organization towards that vision. And I'm very sure when he talks to us, we will get to know so many people who must have worked with him towards that vision. But the brand is more visible than the people behind it. The work is more visible than individuals. And that truly is the spirit of any appreciation day. And I was thinking to myself today, the reason I give this talk is I'm supposed to be the leader. And what is the real job of a leader? The real job of a leader is to find very good people and then get out of their way. In my case, I didn't even hire these very good people. Most of these very good people were hired by previous leaders. I have simply inherited a very good set of people. So I think my appreciation today starts by first acknowledging the various leaders before me, Professor Brahmachari, Dr. Rajesh Gokhale, who have been instrumental in creating an IGIB, the quality of people that made the job of future leaders me easy. But really speaking, this year is about COVID, for better or worse. When we look back at 2020, I think the only image that will remain on our brain will be COVID. And it is occasions and challenges like COVID-19 that bring forward even more heroes, even more people to appreciate. Now, the nature of life is that there are many contributors. Some contribute actively, some passively, everybody at IGIB and beyond IGIB. IGIB is not an island. IGIB is connected to the larger CSIR ecosystem. The CSIR ecosystem is connected to the larger Indian ecosystem, and all of us are connected to the leadership of the nation, the people of the nation, and whether we look at passive contributions, whether we look at active contributions. People who contributed simply by staying at home and not spreading the epidemic further, people who came to work every day and made sure that institutions came to work. Everybody must be appreciated. But there is the concept of foreground heroes and background heroes. There are some people by the nature of their job are scientists. When they do good things, it comes and gets published in journals. Media comes to take their interviews. And while their contribution is immense, it's also important to remember there are background heroes. So people who are not in the foreground, people whose existence we pretty much take for granted, but people who make a contribution that is invaluable and without which the entire institution would come grinding to a halt. Now, IGIB, of course, like every scientific institute, has multiple dimensions. Apart from scientists, we have administration, we have purchase, we have finance, we have engineering, we have housekeeping. And some of these people, the people who are regular employees of the government, already have a lot of expectations, and I speak about what they do to the institute, not often enough, but I do manage to communicate with them. Today, I'm very pleased to say that from no effort of my own, entirely driven by the very good people selected by previous leaders of IGIB, there was a spontaneous outpouring that today must be about appreciating the unsung heroes. It must be appreciating the people who are our contract workers, people from our security force, people who are currently showing an antibody positivity of 40% nearly, which means almost half of them have managed to get themselves exposed and infected. Yet not a single day, but the gates of IGIB shut because security was not there. Not a single day was food not available to the people who came to work every day because the canteen shut down. And all these workers have a seropositivity, antibodies in their blood, at a rate far greater than those of our students or scientists who are able to keep themselves protected. These people, I'm very glad to say, nobody fell seriously ill, but they did not know that. They came to work at a time when people were thinking of COVID as a lethal disease. So what they faced in their minds while coming to work every day was far greater than what we with our scientific knowledge know. It is to acknowledge our housekeeping. Everybody expects the smallest of things like a clean toilet when you go to work, right? But they don't clean themselves. We know that very well. Those of us who have to manage in our own houses for this period. So from housekeeping, engineering, air conditioning, can you imagine the Delhi summer without the ACs running? And somebody had to come and do it. So these are the unsung heroes of IGIB spanning every possible discipline, not of science, but of life. Every possible aspect of running an organization. And today, before we hear more from people who built institutions, so DG on one side, Professor Brahmachari on another side, people who built institutions far larger than what I have ever been able to do or am capable of. Before you learn from the true masters of working from the background, always trying to appreciate what others have done, and simply moving visions and organizations forward, I would once again simply like to extend appreciation not on my side, but on side of a spontaneous outpouring from students and scientists who contributed their own money. No government money will be involved in any of the appreciation awards given by people today. So, that's a real example of, when you actually believe in something and all the people who generously contributed, that although our celebration might be virtual, but those people who did these jobs must receive something physical in the real world to celebrate this occasion. I'll stop here and hand it back to Jyoti to take it forward. And congratulations to all of you for being part of and making a very, very vibrant organization wherever you are. Thank you.
Thank you, Anurag, for the wonderful overview. We now request to play the recorded message by DGCSIR sent for this occasion.
There is an important day in the year when we record our appreciation for everyone, all the members of the Institute. As the Director General of CSIR, I am very proud what IGIB has done during these COVID times. IGIB has already done very well in everything that it has done over the years. But the COVID times, when the entire humanity, our country, our people, we are facing a great challenge to combat one of the most difficult situations in our lifetimes. The IGIB fraternity has stood up and contributed significantly to many different aspects of COVID-19 mitigation. I'm very pleased with all the effort that IGIB has made. I would like to record my deep appreciation to each and every member of IGIB for this particular occasion. And when I say each and every member, I don't include only scientists, I don't only include the administrative staff, I include literally every member of IGIB who has contributed to this. I'm very proud that every person in IGIB has stood up on this occasion. Although I'm not able to be present here on my own, I would like to know that in my spirit, I am with you all the time. Please keep doing the good work and please make all of us proud on this through this situation. Thank you all very much.
I will add one extra message from DGCSIR that came only this morning, so he could not possibly include it in his speech. And before that, there I see one department that is making today possible, despite everything else, the Information Technology Department of IGIB, who probably deserves almost all the credit for today's meeting. But let me tell you that one news that DGCSIR would like to have conveyed to you. IGIB had made a test called Feluda. And perhaps we'll go into the history of Feluda another day. There's always a risk of Feluda becoming Faluda. But Feluda is inspired by the Bengali detective Satyajit Ray. It's a test by which, without having an expensive qRT-PCR machine, using a paper strip, you can diagnose SARS-CoV-2 infection, COVID-19. This test allows expansion of COVID testing to any small lab that basically contains a basic thermoblock and a PCR. It is one of the first such technologies worldwide. It is based on a technique called CRISPR. It will be the second or third, depending on how we interpret the words, approved by regulatory, and the regulatory approval in India for Feluda, developed by Debojyoti Chakravarti's team and Shavik Methi's team at IGIB, with the support of many other people, just got approved by DCGI this morning. And I'm very happy to announce that Tata Sons is going to start production. They have become our partners. And this will be a very important step in expanding COVID testing at the scale that is required without having to rely upon 20 lakh rupee PCR, quantitative PCR machines, instead being able to make do with 25,000 rupee machines. And I look forward to future versions from IGIB that are equipment free. But with this very good news that DGCSIR talked about this morning, but cannot put into his address, I will stop again and get back to the program. Thank you.
Thank you, Anurag, for sharing this wonderful news. It's indeed a big thing for IGIB. May I now request Dr. Mitali Mukherjee to introduce our esteemed speaker of the day, Dr. R.S. Sodhi, Managing Director of Gujarat Cooperative Milk Marketing Federation Limited, GCMMF. Over to you, Mitali.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. And thank you, Dr. Sodhi, for accepting our kind request for coming for the Appreciation Day. We really like it because this is the time where we try to expose our faculty, student community to other dimensions of which needs to be integrated if we want to move towards affordable healthcare solutions. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce Dr. R.S. Sodhi, who is the Managing Director of Amul. We all know Amul, but it is also known as the Gujarat Cooperative Milk Marketing Federation, GCMMF. And this, you would all know, is India's largest food products organization with a group turnover this year of 52,000 crores, which is a huge amount for us to hear. And something about Dr. Sodhi, I will not go into too much detail. He was very also emphatic that we don't project him because he represents the cooperative sector. But nevertheless, he was born in a village in Punjab, near Firozpur. And then he did his BE in agriculture from CTAE Udaipur, and was the first batch of Indian Rural Management Institute. It's called IRMA. That's in Anand. And then joined right after that with Professor Kurian, Verghese Kurian, in 1982. And I think he has been a beneficiary of mentorship of Professor Kurian, and he's also sustained his legacy and even expanded his vision further, because he worked for nearly 3 decades with him. A little bit about Amul. He will talk about it. I will not get into detail, but I just wanted to highlight why we got him here. This Amul initiative started in 1946. I really do not know which organization has lasted for such a long time. Of course, CSIR is also equally older, but this is, and this was started in a village, meaning in a small city of Anand, by 2 great visionaries, Tribhuvan Das Patel, he was a politician, and Dr. Verghese Kurian. All of you might know him, about him, that he brought about white revolution, that's through the Operation Flood, which made India self-sufficient in milk production, which is a major food. Everybody needs to have it for not only milk, but all its product. And in 1998, World Bank actually did an audit, meaning this is just for us to understand that the money, around 200 crore they had invested, and they could actually show that within 10 years, the net return to rural economy from that 200 crore investment went to 24,000 crores. So which actually talks about what Amul would have done. Amul is very unique because it is not owned by a person, but it is owned by 3.6 million farmers from 18,500 villages. Predominantly, it started in Gujarat and now it has diversified. And it provides 25 million liters of milk daily that reaches more than, meaning and more of its dairy products, the outreach is to 1.35 billion customers. So I can say that I have a dark chocolate every day with my father. So I think everybody would be consuming one product or the other of Amul. Uh, I had specifically wanted to get him over here because our institute is wanting to, meaning we aim at providing technologies for affordable healthcare solutions. And we have a lot to learn from the Amul model because one of the key mantras which Dr. Sodhi says uh, is that how it should actually be value for many and value for money. So not only you actually make the farmers richer, but you also actually have the customer focus in mind. So that's one thing. The other thing is the branding. So we all know Amul utterly butterly delicious. In fact, the hoardings we had always been looking forward to when we were PhD students in ISC, and every time there would be a social message which would keep us a little cheerful and a little aware of everyday events. It has sustained on some core values of integrity, honesty, because it has been a cooperative system. And I think Dr. Sodhi emphasizes that integrity is the first thing which they emphasize. And they have also had a very interesting model of how stakeholders with the incentive framework actually, because all the production to process to market is all linked. And very interesting to learn from for us is because Amul products, they require different kinds of supply chain, which we kept on discussing during COVID time. It could be chilled, it could be frozen, it could be ambient, it could be fresh. So how do you keep that going across the country even in pandemic times? We have not realized that pandemic social distancing must have become a real challenge for a cooperative setup. And we would really like to learn from him how this got maintained, because we all were beneficiary of milk supply not getting affected. And it also has contemporized according to the development. So it is not stuck to butter, but all products for all age ranges, for all kinds of people. It has diversified to nearly more than 100 products. And the technology interventions, which he would be talking about. So all these ingredients which go on to make such a kind of a robust system is what we need to learn in affordable healthcare if we need to have an outreach to rural places, which is what should be our next step. So over to Dr. Sodhi. I hope this was not a big introduction, but I just wanted to put the focus to what we would like to learn from you also. And thank you so much again for coming and gracing our occasion. Thank you so much.
Good morning. Thank you, Dr. Mitali Mukherjee, for this wonderful, very detailed and nicely introducing me as well as my organization, Amul. And we are very, very extremely happy for your invitation from IGIB to share our views with your all the participants. So I'm extremely happy that I'm sharing my talk with Dr. S.K. Brahmachari, who will be giving his views after me. And wonderfully to hear the Dr. Anurag Agarwal, Director IGBI, and also Dr. Shekhar Mande, Director General CSIR, and for coordinating Dr. Jyoti Yadav and all the participants. It's a really, I mean, I was wondering, I asked my people who are got the scientific or the, in our organization, when you say doctor means veterinarians. And somehow now they have started putting before my name also doctor. So some people always consider I'm a doctor. So they start asking me very, very, very scientific questions, and I look left and right. Because mine is not earned, just given by our agriculture university. So I have spoken at various platforms and I mean, during this COVID and lockdown, one thing is there is that number of webinars and talks have increased tremendously. I mean, I can say 4x. Whereas earlier any talk invitation used to come from generally outside only, and I used to accept very rarely, because one has to travel to Delhi, Bombay or the location. And for one talk, you are going for 1 hour, 2 hours, going, coming whole day. But with this, thanks to innovation or learning during COVID, that which we were not knowing, that we were wasting our time and resources and getting lot of stress in traveling, whereas the same thing we could have achieved by this webinar without the stress of travel and save time without impacting the usual business. I mean, if I am here for 1 hour, 1.5 hours, my Saturday we are working, so but I had one meeting before this and then lined up various. So this is the biggest, I think, the discovery during COVID, that confidence on remote working, remote meeting, remote traveling has increased. And I think people talk a lot of things about new normal. I always say I don't know about the other things, but definitely business travel or travel for the meeting or conference will reduce considerably. And when I'm talking to you, it is not that otherwise I used to go there. Now my other colleagues are able to hear and lot of things when I'm talking to some big meeting, etc. So thank you very much, IGBI, for giving the opportunity. Well, already Dr. Anurag talked about the food and how it available, and also Dr. Mitali Mukherjee given. During COVID, especially during lockdown, I think the one topic which everybody, irrespective of location, gender, income level, was talking about food. मॉर्निंग क्या खाएंगे, कहां से लेंगे, कौन बनाएगा, what recipe, which YouTube channel one should go learn new recipe, how to share a new recipe on WhatsApp with our family group. And also then after having good food, you talk about what is immunity wise good, what haldi is good, adrak is good, kada is good, what to eat, what not to eat. So basically topic was food. And in the evening, or then you are on more hooked to the OTT or we call talkie, it is the Netflix type thing and other thing, or having the WhatsApp call with the family members. So we were lucky that we are a part of food. Dairy is a very important part of food, and 20% of what food means dairy, milk and milk products. So just, I mean, you all are scientists, but I'll just give you my data. Indian food market is around 40 lakh crore. 40 lakh crore is a big market. And the organized and packed market is around 4 lakh crore. Only 10%. Remaining 90% is all loose, unbranded, unorganized. Coming to the dairy, which is around 20% of that, dairy is around 8 lakh crore. But in dairy, organized or branded or packed is much bigger than the other part. It is around 2.25 lakh crore. So we are part of that. In dairy, I mean, most of you who are participating in are more related to the other half of dairy sector. I mean, you are a consumer. You may be consumer of branded or loose, but you are a consumer right from morning, having tea of milk and then dahi or some, and the lunch or the night also having some dessert or ice cream. So dairy, or you are using lot of ingredients to make your meal, whether ghee use kar rahe hain, butter use kar rahe hain, cheese, paneer. So whole day dairy is involved in Indian cooking. So that is the area where mostly, but let me also tell you, this is only a very small portion of dairy, what we have been talking or thinking. The major portion is the other half, because in India, dairy is a source of livelihood for 10 crore Indian rural families. So it's not that, I mean, you maybe consume at home soaps or maybe some shampoos or maybe perfumes or maybe other things, but when you consume dairy, you are giving source of livelihood. You are providing livelihood to some Indian rural families, because in India, like Dr. Mitali mentioned, we are self-sufficient. So what is produced, we are, so what money you spend on dairy going back to the villages of India. What if you tomorrow pay 2 rupees more for a liter of milk? You can understand with the increase in income of dairy farmer. That is not inflation. In fact, food inflation is not an inflation. It's the increase in rural income. So that is one thing. Coming to this, when I say 10 crore families or 100 million families dependent on dairy in India, but out of the whatever dairy is produced, only thoda sa aur isko karo, out. Yeah. So whatever is produced, 40% is retained in the villages for self-consumption. 60% is surplus. Out of 60%, only 1/3 is coming to the organized sector, 2/3 is still unorganized. So that is the potential which dairy has got. And like Dr. Mitali mentioned, we are lucky. I mean, dairy of food, we are in an industry which is recession proof, which does not have any seasonal or any recessions or even technology, because our market is 1.35 billion stomachs. And we are thankful that we are growing more. I mean, today we are 1.35 billion or 135 crore, but 2050 will be 1.7 billion. And those stomach also which can now afford more better food. I mean, with the increase in income level, Indians are upgrading. When I say Indians, it means not people sitting here. I'm talking about average Indian is lower middle class or lower class or poor people. With the increase in income, increase in wages, they are upgrading themselves from mainly carbohydrate diet to more protein and fat rich diet. And in protein and fat rich diet, because Indian mainly we have got a lot of vegetarian food. Even non-vegetarian people will be eating more of vegetarian and less of non-veg. In vegetarian food, dairy is the only source which is providing very balance of protein and fat. And not only protein and fat, dairy is the only food which provides you affordable nutrition, balanced nutrition, and the topmost of the taste. The food you are consuming, no doubt for nutrition, but you will not consume food if it is not tasty. So dairy meets all these criteria. That is why in India, consumption of dairy product is growing at the rate of increasing production, which is around now 6%. But organized or the branded, in which we are is growing at the rate of 12-13%. So when I say recession proof, means we are not worried our market. Consumption is growing, organized sector is growing, so our market is growing. But in India, when you say that organized sector or the dairy sector, because you also understand that India is the, like I said, market of lower middle class. So you have to see that how to make food more and more affordable for the general masses. Whether if you want consumer to shift to the branded or organized sector, food has to be affordable. अगर आपको दही आप घर पे 50 रुपए लीटर पड़ता है, and you want to sell it in with a very fancy packing and with a very branded form in plush market at 120 or 50 rupees, only 5% people will buy. So if same dahi, if you are making at home and you sell at 60 rupees or 65%, 20-25% people will start. So India is a market of quality, taste, and affordability as far as food is concerned. Now, sir, coming to the Amul, Amul, like Dr. Mitali mentioned, we were founded in 1946, just a year before independence, and it was just I can say it's by chance. This part of India, farmers were producing good quality of milk and they were not getting good price for the milk, especially during winter when production is low. They were selling to a private contractor, Polson, and Polson had the monopoly from this part of Gujarat to buy milk. Nobody else was allowed to buy milk from the farmers because Polson had a tender or order from British government to meet the requirement of milk of Bombay for government and for defense and everything. So he had taken this monopoly right, nobody else can. So naturally, when you a private entrepreneur has got monopoly to buy agriculture produce of farmery, he'll exploit. So farmers were exploited. So in 1946, farmers went to Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. You see, you can see who were the founders. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel is from this part of Gujarat. That time he was 1940s of this struggle, freedom fight was on the top and Dr. Vallabhbhai Patel was the forefront. So that time the Tribhuvan Das Patel, who later became our founder chairman, he with the farmers went to Vallabhbhai Patel that Vallabhbhai Polson is exploiting us, not giving us a good price. At that time, Sri Vallabhbhai Patel gave them advice. I am not saying it is advice, it's a business lesson. And that business led to them not only also 74 years back, but also today for any agriculture produce. And what was that lesson? It's very simple. He said, if you farmers want good price for your milk, you should not only produce it, you should process and market it yourself under your own brand, and you should own the whole supply chain. Then only you'll be able to get the maximum share from the consumer rupee. And that is why, because of that, today farmers are getting 80% of what consumer pay in Bombay and Delhi for a liter of milk. So that time, Tribhuvan Das Patel told Dr. Vallabhbhai Patel that, sir, if how to do monopolies with the Polson. And that time, Vallabhbhai Patel told them, you go for a strike. 1946, Britishers were ruling, and farmers went on strike. They did not give milk for 15 days to the Polson. In stuff, they just throw away the milk or use within the village. And when milk did not reach Bombay, the commissioner milk came to Anand, and then he met the Tribhuvan Das Patel, and Tribhuvan Patel told him that we will supply you milk, we will meet your requirement, but you have to buy directly from us. And you have to buy from us means you have to buy from our organization called Cooperative Society. So then he said, okay, I'll buy it, because he had won. And that is why reluctantly British government allowed registration of Amul, which was named Kera District Cooperative Milk Producer Union Limited, 1946. And farmers started buying, chilling it, and sending milk to the Bombay through the trade. And that was a beginning. And then 1948, Dr. Varghese Kurian, the chairman of Gujarat Milk Marketing Federation and the first manager of Amul, joined. He came from USA after doing his master's in Delhi from Michigan State University. And you can imagine in 1948, somebody coming from USA coming to the place like Anand, which was a village with the 5,000 population. Imagine the vision that fellow had. And that too from a Dr. Kurian was from a very good family. His one uncle was the India's first finance minister, John Amnathai. One uncle was the chairman of Tata Steel, and his father was a big defense officer. You can imagine the type, but still he decided to come to Anand. Basically because he came by chance, because he had gone on a scholarship to USA. He was sent here for 6 months for a training in a creamery here, chilling station, and he found the condition of the newly formed cooperative society. They don't have technology. He wanted to help to get the technology from foreign. He thought of staying here for only for 6 months, and because of Tirumada's persuasion and encouragement, he stayed here till his death around 62 years. And because of this one man, hard work, passion, and vision, like Dr. Mitali mentioned, India became, which was a milk deficit country. I mean, if I give data, till mid 70s, our milk production was stagnant at 20 million metric tons. Population was growing. India was importing. We were not Atmanirbhar, and deficit was increasing. That time, the farmers, policymaker, and political leadership decided that if we have to become Atmanirbhar in milk, we have to follow Amul model all over India. So Amul model was replicated from 1975 to 96, Operation Flood by Dr. Varghese Kurian. And India not only becomes self-sufficient, but world largest producer. If I give data, I mean, mid 70s we were producing 20 million metric tons. Today we are producing 190. In mid 70s we were producing 1/3 of USA. Today we are producing 2 times more of USA, and 1/8 of Europe that time, now 25% more. So it all because people talk about Atmanirbharta in lot of the how you can become Atmanirbhar in electronics or other items. I mean, if you really decide, but you have to make 25-30 years plan. You can't become Atmanirbhar in 5 years, 7 years policy making. Because India policy makers and political leadership encourage local production. India. So that is the lesson which we have got for the other categories also, sir. So Amul, like I said, started, basically Amul is a 3-tier model. At village level, we have got a village level cooperative society. There are around 200 members are there. And village cooperative society collects the milk, check the quality, all automatic milk collection systems are there. And payment is given to the farmer directly in his account or her account mainly through computer. I mean, no hand touch. And milk is chilled there only in village cooperative society in the bulk milk cooler. So around 18,500 village cooperative societies are there. And each society has got around 200 members. So you can understand there are around 3.6 million or 36 lakh members are there. And then milk is coming to a district union. We have divided Gujarat into 21 districts. So, I mean, not revenue district based on milk share. And where the milk district union has got the processing plant, where this milk is transported and converted into the various milk and milk-based product, and then under Amul brand, and then Gujarat Cooperative Milk Marketing Federation is transporting distributing this milk and milk products all over India. And today Amul is, like Dr. Jyoti mentioned, 52,000 crore to be we are India's biggest food or FMCG company. We are much bigger than Lever, than you name any Indian company. FMCG, we are much bigger and growing last 10 years at the rate of 60 to 70%. And all because these 3 tiers are owned by the farmer. In India, farmers are getting 80% in Amul and 70% in other cooperative. All over the world, farmers are getting only 36% of what consumer is paying. So, sir, I mean, this is in short, but I'll just take a few points which Dr. Anurag and Mitali mentioned. I mean, my take on those. Dr. Anurag mentioned about leadership role. You see, if you ask what is the reason of Amul success and how you can, I mean, replicate other, I think it is mainly and the reason is success is the leadership. When I say leadership is basically selfless, dedicated Political leadership, Tiruvandas Patel. And very, very committed and very, very dedicated professional leadership, Dr. Verghese Kundu. These two leaders came together, and to build any organization, any big change, you can't do it in 4, 5, 7, 10. Both the gentlemen had given their whole life. That is why what we see today, India is the world's largest producer of milk. And I go to a lot of places like this, and people when questioned, they say, what are the reasons for the Amul success? Can you tell us briefly? So I say, I can tell you in one word. Why Amul is #1 brand, why we are, everybody likes. Amul is not only brand for high-end people and the pedal road people, but Amul is also brand in Indian village or in an auto fellow or a rickshaw fellow or any equally also consuming Amul ghee butter, which a pedal road Bombay or any South Delhi consumer will say. This is a brand which is owned by every Indian, irrespective era, and everybody feels proud that this brand is my own. And reason is what? Simple. First is, I say is one word, consistency. Consistency is the business philosophy is first thing. We say value for many, value for money. When I say value for many means giving more very stable and remunerative price to our 36 lakh farmers day after day without thinking, going into the price volatility. So they are assured that they are going to get good price. So they are producing meat, they are encouraged to produce more. The other side I say value for money, that is for the aapke entity, that is consumer, where we say providing products by using best and pure ingredients, latest technology for production, processing and packaging, and at a very affordable price. So when you buy a slab of butter or a liter of milk, you feel what money you have spent is worth. End of the and it should bring smile on you that my spending, my purchase has been good. So because of this loyalty, farmers side and this. Then other reason is what I say is the consistency in our recipes. Ingredients used in our all the products are not changed because of price, etc. Irrespective, we have not never changed the expensive dairy fat with the vegetable fat or the palm oil in ice cream or the butter or cheese or paneer. And third is very important, you must have more consistency in branding. We don't change our branding or positioning, we call in marketing language, once we choose. Like utterly butterly delicious butter, our branding or positioning is more than 55 years old. Taste of India, Amul Taste of India is more than 25 years old. Amul Doodh Pita India is already 17 years old. Once we take it, we slide. Because our spending, because we do not spend like other food products 10 to 15% budget on advertising, we spend less than 1%. So within less than 1%, we have to create our brand top of their mind. And the most important other thing which I
बताओ भैया ट्यूबलाइट सब आप ही लगाओगे ना
हेलो
वो सामान अलग आएगा
hello
Lippy, please mute. You are the host.
okay just finishing okay and the last which may be applicable to your organization is consistency in our manpower. We are very lucky that we have got the people with us which are with us for the life. I am there with the Amul for 38 years, or my colleague Mr. Manchu will be talking for 5 minutes about the thing. We are, whole team is there. We are our people once they join, few may leave, but top team is on the list. So sir, with this, I like to end, and there are certain areas, where we need scientists like you to intervene, and especially healthcare and veterinary. Let me also tell you, veterinary with Amul, it is told that if in this area of Gujarat, it is better to be born as a buffalo than a human being. Because if you fall sick, you have to go to the nearest city to get to show to a doctor. But in Anand or in Gujarat, if your buffalo is sick, you have to just make a call within 1 hour. Doctor will arrive, he'll provide you medicine, he'll provide you everything sitting at home at very, very token amount, 20 rupees or 30 rupees. So with this, I like to answer my talk, and I'll just request my colleague, Mr. Himanshu Rathore, who is an expert in, your side of things, veterinary and pickup. He'll tell you what are the initiatives we have been taken where we need your organizations or people certainly involved in a lot of things. I don't know whether how much time we have got, but can we take Dr. Mitali 5 minutes?
You have time. In fact, we wanted more time from you. You said
Thank you, sir. Thank you, madam. Yeah, Himanshu, over to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, MD sir, and thank you entire team to invite us to give this talk. I'll just continue what our Dr. Sodhi or MD sir has said about Amul. Since Amul started in 1946 and Dr. Kurian joined, he was a visionary and he saw that unless and until we help the farmers to improve milk production from his animal, it will be very difficult for farmer to become economically viable and survive and take it further. So since beginning, when there were shortage of the human doctors at the village level, because India became independent, there was shortage, how a veterinary doctor can go to the village and give the treatment. And there were only veterinary dispensaries at the taluk level or district level at that point of time. So Dr. Kurian said that no, veterinary service has to go to the doorstep of the farmer. And at that point of time, with the use of the wireless technology, which was only being used at that time for the police purpose, we started using it for the veterinary services, and our veterinary doctors used to keep in a vehicle, 4-wheeler at that point of time, in all the villages. And whenever a doctor calls, veterinary doctor get a call from any farmer that his animal needs treatment, then the same message will be sent to the veterinary doctor who is moving on his mobile in the villages, and that veterinary doctor will reach to that farmer. So that was the system established in 1950. We started our veterinary services in 1950. Then to further give benefits to the farmer that okay, only veterinary services is not sufficient. Then breeding services also needs to be improved, because if next generation of the animal is not improved, then there won't be any production enhancement. So we started artificial insemination services. We had the first semen station, and with the throughout use of the liquid semen, we started artificial insemination, because so that one better bull and semen of that one better bull can reach to the thousands of the cow. So that started in 1965. And after starting of the liquid semen, we started the frozen semen technology. And now, still now, we are using frozen semen technology. At present, we are doing insemination of more than 6.1 million animals every year. And that's what we do under the artificial insemination. This post artificial insemination, we also found that feeding is also the critical for the farmers, animals husbandry development, because farmer used to buy different types of feed from different types of vendors, and it was not sufficient. Sometimes farmer only used to feed cakes, which is giving only fat but not giving the other vitamins and minerals which is required for the overall growth of the animal and overall better health of the animal. So we started with the cattle feed manufacturing unit, and we started with the 100 metric ton of capacity of the cattle feed manufacturing unit. At that point of time, Dr. Lal Bahadur Shastri had come to inaugurate that plant, and it laid the foundation for establishment of the National Dairy Development Board, through which Operation Flood was launched. So with that 100 metric ton cattle feed factory, we started supplying balanced cattle feed to each and every farmer member of the Khera Milk Union, that is Amul Dairy. And now we are producing more than 9,900 metric ton of cattle feed every day, and still we are running short of the capacity, and we are expanding more and more to give it to the farmers. So this was the activity. And then when 1946 this Amul Dairy Cooperative started, the vision in the patient with which that generation started, then it came 1990s, 2000, and next to next generation, second or third generation has already came into this basic system of dairy cooperatives. So to keep them aware about the daily activity, about the animal husbandry, about the cooperatives, that what these cooperatives are, we started with the cooperative education program. And we started then this continuous cooperative education program across all the districts of the Gujarat, and to make the farmers aware that what is the scientific animal husbandry practices. Okay, they have learned their animal husbandry practices from their ancestors, but now they need to do the scientific animal husbandry practices so that they can have more profit at less expense. And with that aim, we ran almost 20 years this type of program so that farmer became aware that how they have to perform in the cooperative and how they can carry out the animal husbandry activity. Every year, other than the government of Gujarat, who carry out animal census, we used to carry out our own animal census since 1995. We carried out this every 5 years, and we found in this census that almost 24% of the animal population of Gujarat is non-productive. That means either it is non-fertile, not cowed even once, or they become pregnant once, but now they are dry and not even giving milk. So we call it as a NPG dry or NPG Nico animal. Now these animals are not fertile, they are not giving milk now, and they are not going to give milk even next year. So what to do? And it is 24% of the animals. So board of this entire Amul decided that we must initiate some program which helps the farmer, because non-fertile animal is the biggest loss to the farmer. And we started with the fertility improvement program in 2007. And we are covering almost now every year around 3,000 villages and covering more than 3 lakh such animals. And we try to make them fertile. And I'm happy to share that more than 70% of the animals become fertile after this intervention. And that's a very good achievement in terms of any scientific way if you look at it. Because generally it used to, our community used to say that you can get only around 40 to 45% result under FIP. But with the focused effort and proper animal tracking, we are achieving around more than 70% such success rate. Then later on, it came to our notice that okay, we are improving the fertility, but what is the another pain area? That is the productivity of animal. That is, animals are not producing. Say, if you compare to the much advanced countries like say Israel or USA or other countries, their cow is giving around 35 to 40 liters of milk every day, whereas Indian cow gives around 2 to 4 liters of milk every day. If you go to some higher breed, it may be 8 to 10 liters. That is a crossbred. So what to do about that? So we started specific focused program. We call it as a strategic productivity enhancement program. And under this program, we have started pure breeding. That means a specific breed of the animal will be bred with only that particular animal semen only, like say Gir and Kakrej are the breed of the Gujarat. So we will use only Gir and Kakrej semen. We will not cross those animals. Or for the specific buffalo, like say Jafrabadi, Mehsana, Murra, which we have in Gujarat, we will have the same breeding policy that this breed will not be changed or mixed with any other semen. Otherwise, most of the breed becomes crossbred, or sometimes it becomes non-discrete. So we have adopted this strategy. Then we also adopted the calf rearing, that strategic calf rearing. Generally, what happens that when a calf becomes cow, it is more than almost 30 months to 36 months when a calf becomes cow, because farmer generally leaves it to the field that okay, whenever it matures, then I will just breed that calf and make it cow. But for the buffalo, it may be up to 4 years. So we focused on this project, and now under strategic calf rearing, a calf become cows in less than 24 months. That means almost 1 year is saved for the farmer. Calf become cow 1 year earlier, and at the same time, farmer will have one more lactation of that animal during the lifetime. Further, because that animal has been taken care in the beginning, it remains healthy, and the milk production from that cow is also more. Now even buffalo are becoming calf, that we say that buffalo calf is becoming buffalo, say almost at the end of 30 months. So this is the intervention which we have done at the strategic productivity, because there are 2 ways to increase the productivity. One, you increase the production per animal during that particular lactation, or you increase the production per animal throughout the life cycle of the animal. So we have initiated to starting with that, at least first initiate the throughout the life cycle of the animal, because increasing the production per animal per lactation takes much longer time. So we have also initiated that activity, but to give the immediate benefit to the farmers, we have initiated increasing the productivity for the animal for its entire life cycle. Then another point which we found during this, that mastitis is again a very big problem for the farmers of India basically. So we started, there are programs like mastitis control program, but say control comes when it is already happened. But we started a mastitis prevention program, that it should not happen. So we started identifying those animals which are having subclinical mastitis, and we started treating those animals. So once animal gets the mastitis, there will be a huge loss to the farmer as well as for the milk production loss, as well as that milk once, because doctors gives antibiotics to them, and that milk cannot be consumed for another 7 days. And even for during the entire lifetime, the production loss is there for the milk animal. But when we treat that animal for the subclinical mastitis, there won't be any mastitis, and that farmer will not have any also loss. So within just say 300 rupees, we are treating those entire cases where farmer, if mastitis happens, farmer need to have a loss of say around 11 to 12,000 rupees. So this type of activities which we generally carry out, and recently we have started entering into genomics field, because we are doing, say, we are identifying that which is the best bull to identify. So we are on progeny testing program. Now that progeny testing program goes on for say 8 to 10 years. And after 8 to 10 years, we are able to identify that, okay, XYZ bull is very good bull, and whatever is his ability to pass on the gene and good values to the next generation is much better. But what happens that by that time we are able to identify that, okay, this bull is good, that bull is out of the production system because his age is over for the production. So what to do? So foreign countries is already they are much ahead in say this breeding value, identifying the breeding value genomically. But we have also, they are now starting that, okay, let us also identify the genomic breeding value of that particular bull. And we are initiating this project, and under this project we will be able to identify bull as soon as those bulls are born. We will just take their samples and we'll identify whether we have to rear this bull or not. So that way we are going to progress. That means as a Amul, as Sir has said, consistency. So we are maintaining consistency in every animal husbandry aspects also. Whatever is the new development, we adopt it as a Amul and we try immediately implement it so that we remain at par with the world-class technology. So this is what in brief general I would say. There are so many such activities in say extension program and others which are doing, but I just kept focused on this basic animal husbandry activities, that this is what Amul does for their farmers, and we keep on doing it. So that's how Amul is always with the farmers, for the farmers, and for the betterment of the farmers. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I'll just like to add, Dr. Mitali, what Manshu had said. I mean, I'm not very much aware what type of expertise your institution, the people are here. But I'm telling there are 3 areas, I mean, especially in animal husbandry side, where we really need your help because you are the scientist. One is the genomic side. Genomic side, what Himanshu, because we are not starting, I mean, because you must be doing a lot of human beings, so same is applicable to the animal also. So why not that? Second area is we need some really scientific solution for heat detection in the animals. Because if we lose one cycle, I mean, that much delay, I mean, 25-30 days heat detection, because farmers are not expert. And then if heat detection is detected time, we can do artificial insemination time and cow can come calm. And third, very important, which I think you will definitely is the pregnancy testing. I mean, early pregnancy testing. I mean, in human being, you can check with this one strip. So if you can work on a kit or strip to check the pregnancy in cows and buffalo early, 25. So it will now, because we do not have expert in the villages. Farmers need to call expert who will just insert head inside and come to know whether cow or buffalo is pregnant or not. So if you have got that side of some people beside the human being can work on these 2-3 areas, we are ready to help in this. We are ready to be associated in these 3 areas. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sodhi and your colleague for giving such a detailed understanding of what goes behind what we consume. And it is the entire ecosystem, how you have to bring together or keep the development together. And surely we are a premier genomics institute. We have been providing solutions to human population and human diseases, but many of the methodologies, because the good thing about genomics is that you can use the same technology platforms for addressing plant, human, bacteria, everything. So if there are domain experts from your area, our scientists can work together to be able to provide solutions. Maybe the Feluda technology, which we just explained, or we have other state-of-art platforms for genome sequencing. We could try to attempt or see how we could be useful. And once the lockdown gets over, I'm sure Dr. Anurag Agarwal can facilitate such kind of interaction, and we would be happy to partner in such kind of initiatives. I hope, sir, even if you are very busy with lots of questions.
I like to hear Dr. Mansari. I like to hear.
I think Dr. Anurag and Dr. Brahmachari, would you like to go first, and then we will start with other questions?
In fact, I think I'll leave questions. I see many questions on the chat. I'll let you moderate that. But I would like to point out that this is very important questions you've asked of us, and finding solution is important. In fact, I recall there was a project within CSIR where they were looking at the pregnancy reduction in cows. And I had learned about a year and a half ago. It's not as simple in cows as it is in humans. So I'm very hopeful something has happened, and we will connect everybody together. And I think I'll leave the questions. I see many questions. I'll let other people have their questions.
Yeah. Professor Brahmachari, you have something to start, and then we will start with other questions.
I think you go ahead with other questions. During my talk, I will say whatever.
Okay. So I'll read out the questions, and then if you would help address them. So one of our colleagues, Dr. Chetna, she's asked a very pertinent question. When the lockdown was announced suddenly, what were the challenges you faced in procuring and supplying? Has Amul ever faced similar challenges before?
Yeah, Dr. Chetna is a very relevant question. I mean, when lockdown was declared, but let me tell you, this lockdown was for human beings, not for cows and buffalo. I mean, we cannot go for our work, but our cows and buffalo were giving milk morning, evening. So milking was there. And once milk is there, you have to take it to the processing and the consumer. But we are thankful that from day 1 on 24th March at 8:30 p.m. announced that milk is under exempted category. And so what we did is we have to communicate. First thing is we have to communicate with all the supply chain partners, the farmers, the transporter, the processing unit, our workers, our distributors, our retailers, as well as consumers. That milk is essential. So there will be milk collection, there will be milk processing, there will be milk transportation, distribution, and consumer will get it. No doubt, method was different. I mean, farmers, we have started communicating 2 weeks before 24th March, on 12th, that what type of precaution you have to keep, safety measure, social distancing, sanitation when coming into society, and the transporters, what type of sanitized, how tankers needs to be sanitized before and after dairy. Then in our distribution, in our all the distributors, the retailers, and consumers. I mean, 24th when 8:30 this was announced. I mean, my wife was the first to get worried, and she told me, "Bhaiya, ghar pe dekho, get something. You will not get anything tomorrow." So I walked on the nearest Amul shop, and when I reached there, I was surprised. I could not get just one packet of 100-gram butter. Oh, sorry, 2 packets of 100-gram butter and 200 gram of dahi. No paneer, no cheese, no big butter, nothing. So that is the result is busy. Panic buying had already started on Prime Minister. So I thought when this is the my condition, what would be the average consumer condition? So I immediately came home. I told my wife, you hold this mobile phone, and I spoke for 1.5 minutes, assuring consumer that milk is essential. You will get your milk in other essential commodities tomorrow, because Amul is #1 brand in all the major cities for milk and other. Bombay, Delhi, Gujarat. So this 1.5 minute video she took, I sent to my whatever people I had on my mobile, all TV channels and press, and within 10 minutes it's on the channel. The milk Delhi mein aayega, milk Bombay mein aayega, and all the authorities also came to know that milk is exempted and Amul needs to be exempted. So we got all exemptions, all permissions within no time. Only thing we have to put everywhere Amul milk or Amul Dada. So, and we also started giving a lot of incentives. I mean, people lost their job and we started giving a lot of incentives to our supply chain partner. 25 to 30% more to the transporters, our workers, our distributors, our retailers, because they were taking risk of coming out. You can't do milk processing or distribution sitting at home to report. Work, you can't do work from home. Lot of people in our organization were working from home, those who could do billing, etc. But lot of people have to come out also. So we were lucky we were exempted. We got full cooperation from the local administration, and technology was there. I mean, I remember in late 80s or early 90s, I was posted in Ahmedabad, and Ahmedabad used to have a lot of rights. And we used to have months together curfew, and the milk was, I know that time everything was managed, what difficulty was facing. And this time curfew was all over India. But because of technology, GPS system, and we could locate our transporter, our milk collection center, we could do everything sitting office or home on the laptop. We could manage the supply chain. In fact, we got 17% more milk, so our factories work on 15 to 20% more capacity. And we pay to farmers more money. I mean, we are paying 140 crore rupees per day. So you can imagine, in 120 days of lockdown, we must have paid more than 18,000 crore rupees cash to the farmers. So we are thankful to everybody who cooperated with us. So this is what.
Okay, thank you so much. So there is another question from another colleague, Dr. Ramachandran. He asks that what marketing strategy you innovate to survive in the quadrant where market exists and technology exists, but there is a lot of crowding in business and competition. So how do you keep up?
I mean, you see, in any marketing strategy, you have to see who are your major partners, stakeholders. In food, there are two major stakeholders. One is who's growing food, the other who's consuming or buying. In our case, if you take care of these two main stakeholders, your business will grow. So what farmers, like I said, our business was, we are giving them, they are very stable and relative price. So they are happy. Consumer is getting good product by using best ingredients, best technology, best packaging, a very, very trustworthy. When I say trust, people blindly trust Amul at a very affordable price. Because we are keeping these two major stakeholders with us, I mean, we are able to compete any company, and we are growing because the supply chain is so economically efficient that we have found no competitor is able to compete with us by giving our price to the farmers and by selling fair butter to the consumer at our price. He is not able to make. So, in spite of fighting competition, world's best multinational, you name any multinational who has not come to India and dairy, and they could not make it because of our very tight supply chain and our taking care of these two main stakeholders. So our business philosophy is give more to earn more. Give more to the farmers, give more to the consumer, your business will prosper.
Yeah, that's a very good, meaning very good philosophy to sustain things for a longer time, I guess. So there is this student, Sunil Nagpal. He says that it was an absolute honor, an audience for inspiring talk, and he actually comes from a neighborhood village, Fazilka. So he says he feels connected to you. So he asks the question: what, according to you, from your first-hand exposure to consumer and even industry needs, are the prime areas of research innovation in food industry going forward?
You see, I mean, food is one area where a lot of research is needed, right from milk, food production, like in case of milk, like Himanshu mentioned. I mean, India, the biggest, you see, what is the biggest challenge which we have got? There are two challenges in the village level. One is the productivity. Our productivity per animal is much lower than the developed country. Reason is, there are two reasons. One is because our model is low input, low output. We feed to the animal what is left over after human consumption. We do not have thousands of acres of land to grow green fodder, which some Western countries are able to get on indigenous India. I mean, we have got very small. Average Indian farmers have got less than 2 acres of land, marginal farmer land. So, first priority is food growing for human consumption. So, whatever leftover is fed to the, and second is our farming model is farm family side, where each farmer is having average 2 animals. So they feed less, output is high. So what is required is how to increase productivity within this model, where we are feeding less, but whatever we are feeding, we are able to get more out. That is what, like Himanshu mentioned, we are working on improving the productivity by improving the breeding and also improving the feeding habits. What is available, grown available, that is what. The other challenge I think is, if he is from Nagwa is from village, is basically how to motivate next generation of farmers to stay back in the village and grow food. Because farming or dairying is not glamorous or cool or contemporary. People talk about startup. Startup means sitting in air-conditioned office on a laptop, creating an app or connecting with people is a startup. I mean, that is the beginning or end of any startup definition in India. But why not have more startups in the villages where educated youth can come back to villages and can have a very scientific way of growing food. Like beef, you can easily earn around 45 to 50,000 rupees per month sitting in a village without any debt. And people feel that going to the city after graduation and engineering by working in a factory for 12,000 or 15,000 is not a big.
This is asked by Dr. Devashish, a colleague of ours. So how that would be a challenge for supply chain and
Dr. Devashish, you see, I don't know. Dekhiye, Amul, whatever plastic we use, first let me tell you, it is a virgin grade plastic. We 100% virgin, we have our own plant. And whatever film is used is 100% recycled. And the empty pouch is purchased by generally people by 35 to 40 rupees. And the granules made out of are sold at 60 to 70 rupees. In the market, whatever irrigation pipes used in the villages or the tarpaulin used are all made out of milk pouches. That way you won't find any milk pouch in the rest. Coming to the, so we are, it is more or less everything recycled. Second is coming to the glass bottle. So energy wise, the type quantity of milk which we are selling, consumption of energy and the cost, leave aside. I mean, cost of bottle and cost of pouch, there is no comparison. No comparison. So India, you can't do it if you want to sell water. Coming to the environment, people talk a lot of environment. I got different take on that. You see, this earth is owned by every human being who is living on the earth. There are no country boundaries. any Indian, whether rural or urban, any American, we have got the same ownership of the environment earth. So before these people tell us कि आप environment pollute कर रहे हो, आप methane का ज़्यादा कर रहे हो, आप let us see what is the breach in environment per person India versus USA 100 times. How much plastic they use, how much these gases they more. The Indian consumption of plastic is only 1/10 per. And Indian emission of these gases which are not good is 100 in one. So before telling us, these two first, you bring us half, then tell us.
Okay, so everybody is curious about Amulya cartoons. So how do you manage to be contemporary? And there has been a lot of, sometimes you have also been threatened because of some kind of interesting cartoons which came. So can you just tell a little bit about?
Mitali, this is the Amul topical campaign. This is 55-year-old campaign, utterly buttered and delicious, where Amul Buttercup comments on anything or everything happening in India, whether in political or sports or Bollywood, Hollywood, or world politics, whether USA Trump is talking or anybody is talking in Europe. But she comments. And when she comments, she does not spare anybody, she does not favor anybody, and she is not afraid of anybody. And let me tell you, because she is a cute little girl, nobody minds her saying. Everybody take it in a very witty way, funny way. I mean, she must have commented any lot of politicians, positive but negative, because she tells mood of the nation. She doesn't tell anything about Amul. It's not Amul side. It is the mood of the nation that she conveys. That is nobody minds. I mean, some people may have not liked it, but let me tell you, for the last 55 years, not a single legal case. Sometimes one or two people have not liked it on now social media, but most important thing is this creative campaign is not done or handled by us. It is our advertising agency, Dakuna Associate. Last 55 years they have been doing it. They are creating it. We see it when you see it. They don't take any approval from us. We just sign the bill. Nothing more than that. Fully given to, delegated to creative people, advertising, and they do it. That is why within 1 hour, 2 hours, the event happening come. Otherwise, कोई अभी होगा मैं तो 2 घंटे से यहाँ बैठा हूँ. I can't do it. I mean, by last 2 months, 2 hours, then maybe something will be out.
So my last question, because I feel we have taken a lot of your time. Why do you think the cooperative model has not been replicated in other sectors? And what do you think? Do you think in the healthcare sector, cooperative model can actually make it affordable and more accessible? Have you been asked to?
Yeah. I mean, most of the places people ask me, and a very relevant question, because we need this type of cooperative in a lot of other areas, not in agriculture, like you said, in small manufacture or in healthcare sector. You see, cooperative model is basically a society where people come together. So this cooperative model is very successful, where there are small producer, a small service provider, a small manufacturer who individually cannot afford technology or marketing. So under cooperative model, small people come together, they aggregate their resources and services, make a cooperative service which will market to their product or the service to the consumer, so that the maximum portion of revenue of the service of the produce is given back to the main person. Coming back to why it has been replicated, I answered question in my talk. For a cooperative, because the owned by the small people is a public institution, is a leadership. You require not only you require very, very selfless, dedicated political leadership, as well as a very dedicated, committed professional leadership. Then only cooperative order can be done.
Okay, so in the interest of time, and maybe you would have addressed all our questions, Dr. Brahmachari, last comments from you, and then we will go on to your lecture after this. But surely, I think you have some questions.
This is forcing on me. I just want to tell how much honored I am to share the stage with you. I have used the example of vision, leadership, and committed team using Amul as a model, right? As a DG CSIR, I had the privilege of visiting Amul at Anand. It's a real honor. And I believe we talk a lot about international Harvard School cases. I'm so happy that IGIB, the leadership, as well as Mitali, has taken the trouble to have a person like you. I think brand India is what we must be promoting. And I'm so glad that you have delivered. I will give you some surprise during my talk, and how my interest has shifted along from human health to animal health and animal productivity, both genetics as well as digital. I'm sure you will have to bear that when I say this. I hope you will have 15 minutes time. I will cover that first, then you can go out and have your other meetings.
Right. Now, thank you, Dr. Brahmachari. I'll definitely love to hear your talk, because there will be some learning for us from an expert like you. Thank you very much, sir. Please carry on.
मिताली, एक डॉक्टर ब्रह्मचारी, क्योंकि आई नो डॉक्टर सोडी को जाना पड़ेगा, तो एक स्लाइड है जो मैं दिखाना चाह रहा था उनको. Not be able to stay until the end. तो मैंने कहा कि मैं आपको अभी ये दिखा देता हूँ. बड़ी विदेशी लुकिंग बिल्डिंग जिसके पीछे एक देशी ड्रीम एंड बिल्कुल ही देसी लोग जिन्होंने इस बार आईजीआईबी को खुला रखा. तो मुझे लगा कि इससे अच्छा टाइम नहीं मिलेगा जब डॉक्टर ब्रह्मचारी ने कहा. एंड दिस इज ऑफ कोर्स मेरा टैलेंट इसमें कुछ नहीं है. पिक्चर जरूर शायद मिताली ने खींची होगी और देवाशीष ने पिक्चरें, लेकिन ये हमारी बिल्डिंग है साउथ दिल्ली वाली, जिसके फाउंडिंग के बेसिस पे ये आज एप्रिसिएशन डे हो रहा है. ये डॉक्टर ब्रह्मचारी की ड्रीम थी कि एक इंटरनेशनल लेवल की बिल्डिंग खड़ी की जाए दिल्ली के अंदर, जिसमें सारे इंटरनेशनल फैसिलिटीज़ हों. और इस इंटरनेशनल बिल्डिंग को चालू इन्हीं लोगों ने रखा जिनके पिक्चरें यहाँ पे लगी हुई हैं, फॉर्मिंग हमारे लेटर्स जो हैं आई इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ जीनोमिक्स इंटीग्रेटिव बायोलॉजी. तो मैं ज़्यादा टाइम नहीं लूँगा, लेकिन इन सभी लोगों के ऑनर में ही, इन्हीं के सराहना के लिए आज का दिन बना था. पहले मैं अंग्रेजी में बोल रहा था, मैंने कहा थोड़ी देर के लिए हिंदी में भी बोल लेते हैं, और मुझे याद भी दिला दिया गया. ऐसा नहीं है. सो ये बस मैं कहा एक बार आपको दिखा देता हूँ इससे पहले कि हम डॉक्टर ब्रह्मचारी के लेक्चर पे जाएं. शुक्रिया.
Thank you, Anurag. So, in the interest of time, I'll just give a very brief introduction about Dr. Brahmachari, because all of us know him, but we have a new batch of students who've joined, and it's good to know the person behind this institute and the legacy which we have. So, Professor Brahmachari, we call him very fondly SKB. Actually needs no introduction, and he's been personally my mentor also, but I'm not going to speak in the capacity of that. He was a professor of biophysics, molecular biophysics in IIC Bangalore before he moved to Delhi to initiate genomics activity in this institute, which was called as CBT in 1997. And then we reoriented the entire activity to genomics, and the institute was renamed to Institute of Genomics and Integrative Biology. the mission remains the same. We develop technologies for affordable healthcare solutions, but every time there is a need to shift paradigms, it has taken a new avatar, and Dr. Brahmachari has led from the front for the genomics initiative. He also then moved on and then eventually retired as the Director General of CSIR, and he has been also the founding, meaning the person behind the academy which gives degree, ACSIR. This was his brainchild, and he continues to be lifetime professor of this. Now he is the mentor to many startups and many digital health and genomics initiative. This would be personally his last year in Delhi, because he's moving to Bangalore. He's going to settle there. We're not going to leave him, but we thought that this would be a good time. We are not able to meet him in person, but we are, that's why having his meeting. And much of the vision and value system which we have in IGIB, the openness with which we call our director, or the openness amongst all the faculty, students, is because of the way we were groomed by Professor Brahmachari, and I think that sustains till this date. And he's been a role model for lots of people to emulate, because he'd had a long innings in scientific career, from being a scientist to being a professor to leading a big organization, and we've learned at every point something or the other. So now, Professor Brahmachari, we would like to hear from you what you would like to leave us with, your vision, and what you envision we should do for the future at IGIB to sustain ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Mitali. Thank you, Anurag, for asking me to participate and speak in this Appreciation Day. You know, I have often said that it's better to be in a position when people say, why not, than why. So I'm sure when the program came out, I can see 111 people are attending this program now. Many of the people, including scientists who has heard me many times, ask the question, why SKB on Appreciation Day? So I was a little worried. I always love to be in a position, why not? First, I would like to say to Dr. Sodhi, how honored I am to be here, listening to you. When I came from Indian Institute of Science, when I entered Indian Institute of Science, I was very lucky to have seen big giants like G.N. Ramachandran, Chandrasekharan. And when as a young student in a project, I had only one dream, to use the letterhead of G.N. Ramachandran and to write Professor of Biophysics. When I achieved that, I thought my target of Indian Institute of Science is over. I realized and listened to M.S. Swaminathan, Kurian, Abdul Kalam, and I realized in this country, if one has to bring a revolution, is one individual who has to take the initiative. And I wanted to bring a genomic revolution, build an institution of world class, and make sure that the benefit goes to the people. I'm so much touched by your point that you have raised and said, it's not only the leadership dream, it is the drive, it is the strategy, 360-degree thinking, and eventually customer at the focus. People that matters, right? So I must say that IGIB was, my moving to Delhi was that dream, IGIB. And when on Anurag, I have seen last 200 days, the pandemic time, the science that has happened in IGIB, I have to say it was so fulfilling, so gratifying. It was worth 23 horrible summers of Delhi. It was worth 23 horrible winters and unbearable winters in Delhi, and the pollutions of Delhi to withstood. I didn't think that I will be here this month. I was supposed to go back in July to Bangalore and settle. But I must say, Anurag has made my morning far more exciting and far more gratifying when he announced that world-class technology, Feluda using CRISPR, first in the world to get through from India an approval not only as a diagnostics from ICMR, but an industry of status of Tata to take that technology, bought a company, get the company DGCI approved, get the kit DGCI approved. I think it demands a great appreciation for the entire leadership and the team, IGIB, who has done that. So my great appreciation is today to say that actually I am here to thank you, IGIB, for what I wanted to see India. You have demonstrated and actually achieved it. So my presence here is today to say thank you, IGIB. Thank you. Thank you for doing the things for the people of India that it needed most. As all of us know, that pandemic is not going to go over. The virus will stay with us. And we need to do affordable healthcare diagnostics. We can't afford 2,200 rupees diagnostics. We need few hundred rupees diagnostics. And I'm glad that Feluda will be one of those class and will be able to provide at the door, at the point of care. Bringing back to Amul and people. As a DG CSIR, I wanted to start a program called CSIR-IGIB, which is what can we do for 800 million Indians who are economically at the bottom of the pyramid. You know, you can do something sitting in chair, you can initiate, but you cannot get it implemented unless you have the right platform to achieve it. I believe leadership is all about not only to have a dream, to sell dream, sell hope, but to find people who believe in it and the disciples who will take it forward. And that's why Kurian has been successful to have you, Mr. Sodhi, and your colleagues who are there for many, many years to take his dream forward. And that's the credit I give it to all my younger people as well as Anurag to take as a leader to take it forward. I got interested through my supercomputer associate in suddenly on milk because he came from Binsar. And one day he told me, you know, he was motivated by this CSIR-800, what can be done. He's a big, great computer expert. So he decided to start a farm and figured it out that the optimum weight of the cow is a very important digital analytical data that he built. So I got involved into analytics, and that's how my first exposure to understand what happens in actually cow, how often it has to get pregnant, how the cattle works, India's cattle, I had no idea. So that is the first Binsar farm. I got interested thanks to Pankaj Navani. The second interest came after retirement was when I was discussing about human health. Somebody asked me, can you not look at the vaccination program or cattle health? So I thought, you know, I've worked whole life with the two-leg animal. So suddenly convert into two-leg to four-leg may not be a difficult thing. So I decided, well, go ahead. So I worked with an organization I mentor, Indian Center for Social Transformation, ICST at Bangalore, when I decided to move. And you may be aware that the e-Poshuhat portal that has been built is to connecting the farmers through Umang software. And I got involved into that so that we could get farmers. Then I learned that artificial AI means artificial insemination, not artificial intelligence. And I had no idea 1,000 crore business takes place in that area. You know, it was all new learning. Then one of the idea was to put out that what is the genetic variation between A1 milk and A2 milk? And because having a diabetic, so I started reading about A2 milk, and then I discussed with Pankaj Navani. There's one amino acid, single amino acid change. So I realized the A2 milk price is twice that of the A1 milk. So my argument was, can we not do genetic marking of picking up A2 milk? So I started promoting the idea, and I think it somehow, somewhere I mentioned, and it was nice to see Prime Minister mentioning about A2 milk. So, because it was mentioned in Iposhuhat. So I will say that there is a clear link about genetics, artificial insemination, early detection of pregnancy, because you wait for the whole cycle, because you cannot miss, you have to have every 13 months. So I learned a lot about this. And I think there is a great synergy. The difference is that you need to have a mobile van-based, PCR-based molecular detection technology. So you need this. So I tried in Karnataka, but it didn't go through very well. But I will be very happy to share all the knowledge that I've acquired in the last 5 years in cattle health and brucellosis, foot and mouth disease, and how do you tag every animal which is vaccinated. How do you, so digitally, how you tag, so that no animal is sold which is not vaccinated, and it goes into a herd where it can infect the other. So all this technology platform is built. And of course, we are looking for partners. We have interacted with NDE, our National Dairy Development Board, but I believe my today meeting you is a great opportunity, although in cyberspace, but I'm sure we should be able to take how to use these technologies to make a difference and eventually make farmers earning double. And that is possible, and technology should be there, and IGIB has all the tools and technology, but your presence today creates a connectivity. I must say, these 200 days of science is an outcome of 20 years of investment, vision, and effort. And this is what you have mentioned, that our policies are 5-yearly, election to election policy. Whereas if you need a nation to go forward, you need 20, 30 years of planning and implementation. One must realize that every day we got milk, Amul milk in our home during this pandemic. We had no difficulties. What a fantastic logistic challenge it must have been. And that, I think, one only understands and appreciates. As a DG CSIR, I was always made when we prepared 70 things that CSIR has done in its history, one of them was, of course, Amul baby food powder, milk powder. The reason is, many people may not know who are listening, when India became independent, we did not have more cow, we had more buffalo. Buffalo had more fat, and there was no international company was prepared to produce milk powder. And we were told you will import from Switzerland technology and all, milk powder to be imported. And that is the sign, the CFTRI scientists, I think I remember Subramanian, and that what produced milk powder from the buffalo. And that's the beginning of Amul. And every child, including all of us, grew on Amul baby food. We didn't have to import. And I must say, this was the first interaction. The second interaction I think CSIR had with Amul, when Dr. Bharadarajan visited Amul, along with Dr. Shivram, a polymer expert, because the cost effectiveness of bottle movement, Debashish asked this question, was not energetically efficient. Bottle movement is a big issue. If you look at UB breweries or Kingfisher, their biggest challenge is they lose bottles. And bottle is a huge economic loss for this, and plus energy inefficient, is when the polypropylene was introduced by Varadarajan and Dr. Shivram. And this is how Amul became easily low-cost transportation and energy efficient process. And those days when there was no plastic, I still remember Amul. You said recirculation. I will say Amul pouch was one of the most recycled product in the household. It would be washed, kept, and things would be kept, defreezing, your fish or things. So, we have to indigenize our approach, understanding. We don't have to give an American standard or European standard. So I think the whole way the IGIB was built with the same problem, that we don't want to copy what West is doing. We want to do what we need to do. And I must say, that's where the appreciation comes. The next, I was watching during the two things has happened. My eating Amul dark chocolate has gone up during this period because it's very easy to order it on Gopher. Number two is that I watch a lot of serials and televisions. Okay, so I have been telling everybody that actually a fantastic transformation this pandemic has brought for India. Yes, there are life loss. 70,000 people died. Maybe 100,000, 120,000 will die at the end. But just imagine today that how easily we are able to connect ourselves. As you say, how much time has been saved, how much money has been saved by digital connectivity, how our education has moved into digital space, how we have been able to relook at our working style. Everything has been our time has expanded. Suddenly we have a lot of time for which we are not traveling. And this is an interesting situation. And I jokingly say that, I have not lived in the same room for 6 months with my wife in my entire 45 years of marriage. Right? This is the first time, 200 days, I'm in the same room. Otherwise, I'll be in this city, this conference, that conference, and we will not be able to. So there are huge social benefits that pandemic has brought, which is exemplified by the decision. I remember I met Anurag Agarwal on 14th of March. And 6th of March, I felt that nanopore will be the right technology to use for shot quickly. That time there was no Feluda. And then the Feluda came through, and I remember Anurag, I remember to tell Anurag that Anurag in my house, that this is an opportunity to IGIB to demonstrate that we care for the people of India. And I'm so glad that entire team of IGIB, they are the truly worked. And I can tell you, it's such a great moment of pride and appreciation. I must share this on this platform. I was watching a serial because question is, what is meme? I'm like a Vishma Pitamaha, old person. How much I appreciate and how much I critical is a big balance problem. So I was watching one. Anurag, you can keep your video on, then I can see your face and reaction. So as many people can keep that video on so I can see their face and reaction. Otherwise, very boring to give a talk when I'm not seeing anybody's face. So I was seeing a serial called Bandis Bandit. I don't know how many of you have seen Bandis Bandit. Here is a contrast problem as a parent. A father is appreciative. I will suggest you have a look at it. Whereas mother is very critical. Okay. Here is a teacher who is Nasiruddin Sir, amazing strict teacher. I was seeing G.N. Ramachandran that if you make a type mistake, let's say you have to write hydroxy-OH proline, you meet that dash, he will tear off typed papers and throw it through the window. That was my teacher. Amazing demand of perfection. I am told C.V. Raman, whose student was G.N. Ramachandran, if you drop a crystal and break a crystal, he will buy 2 tickets and send the student along with another student to his home and will make sure that he cannot come back. So this is the super strict, and that you see in the music teacher of the Gharana classical music teachers demand of perfection. But this also becomes too restrictive. It doesn't create an expansionism. It doesn't create a school. So how much you become liberal and then allow others, Gharana, to come in. So IGIB was built with a sense of huge amount of integrity, no compromise on quality, no compromise of human relationship. However, it is broad enough to allow other gharanas to come in by large collaborative network. So the learning I got from this is to say that every organization, when you appreciate, it's also very important that you stay on the reality. One has to ask a question, why Amul, after 75 years, still interests us and we take the product without discussion. Even when the supermarkets are full of imported products, lots of competitive products available. So what is that makes it different? How does IGIB remains differentiated from everybody? When others starts catching you up, how do you move yourself to a different location? So this is, all great institutions don't live forever. Ford car company hasn't lived forever. GE went through a very bad time to revive back. Many industries will vanish. Many airlines will vanish during this period. So how do you realize that what you have achieved and how do you have lived now? Often said, I remember when I came, I built Delhi IGIB, many of my colleagues at Institute of Science and other places have said, oh, wait, once Shamil leaves, it will collapse. But I can tell you, it is 13 years, right? I have left. It has done better and better and better. So how do you do, Anurag, the leadership, Mitali, all of you? You are not immortal. You are not going to be there forever. But institution will be there. How do you build a culture? That's where the Amul comes in. How do you do branding? How do you make sure that you have the commitment and relationship? He has mentioned very clearly that every advertisement doesn't come back for Amul to approve. Just imagine what a trust you have built on the advertising agency, that they have understood your ethos. So same way, how does IGIB create an ethos system, an integrity system, that its younger generation takes it forward without even discussing and thinking about it and naturally executing it. So therefore, many great institutions have died. I can tell you, we are in a position till for up to, if I call IGIB 1998, 97, then up to 2028, you have no problem. 30 years, you have no problem. You are off for next 7, 8 years. But how do you make sure that in 2030, you are still relevant? So I think this is very important as an organization, and this is where one can learn from like organization. Now, how do you do crowdsourcing, right? Look at the strength that IGIB has and how IGIB can take it forward. You are a small institute on an 11-acre land, but you are living in a country of 1.35 billion people, whose 65% are young. Today, pandemic has created enormous interest in biology. Every person, old age, whenever makes a phone call, first thing asks me, what's happening to vaccine? What is the treatment? People know the remdesivir name of the medicine more. Everybody has learned about vaccinology, protein, immunology, antibody, a common person. So this is a great opportunity, right? This is a great opportunity. And use this opportunity to attract the most talented young people. Create crowdsourced platform. Make India as your laboratory. Make citizen your partners. Like what is the difficulty to get 100,000 COVID patients? You know, I saw Kiran Majumdar's own narrative of his treatment and the disease pattern. I asked Dr. Shivram, who got infected, to attend the same thing. So what is the difficulty for IGIB to collect 100,000 people's data on the platform, connect the sequencing data that you have, connect the indigene, connecting of the people? So how can we bring citizen science into IGIB? That everybody is a scientist today. Every COVID patient is a scientist who are educated. They are all thinking. People are contributing. So I will say the challenge before IGIB is to move to the next phase. How do you increase your, CBT was a small place, but we connected it with dozens and dozens of doctors and clinicians. So our laboratory became expanded. Today, you have done very well there. You have now hundreds of institutions, hundreds of medical colleges. Now I am asking you, connect to million young students, connect to 100,000 citizens who are your patients, who will actually provide you the phenotype data. And if you can create those digital platforms, and you can analyze those digital platforms on a genetic basis. Number two, how do you take this genetic knowledge, the genomics knowledge that IGIB has built, to farther down to the industries? And I can tell you, when TCGA was there, I still remember when chikungunya happened, the first farmer who came to us to do a sequencing of a chick, brought a chick. We looked at it, we never knew that there is an opportunity in pharma to do DNA sequencing. We said, okay, 1,000 rupees, we'll just do the sequencing of the chick, whether it's a virus or not, chikungunya virus. Because for him, it's lakhs of rupees lost if one chicken gets into this. So I will say application of genomics to improve the economy of the 800 million poor people has to be our mission next. Our mission should be, how do we make a life difference, economic difference for the bottom of the pyramid? Where can I apply my genomics knowledge and interact with the people who are groundly connected and attached? And I think today could be a very good day that you have a person like Mr. Sodhi who is ground connected, and you can see how you can work with such organization and make a difference with the knowledge that you have. At the end, I must say that it has been a great association of 23 years. Next month, we will be moving out. It is sad that we will not have a gala party, all of us together. So therefore, this forum I am using, I am not going to meet these 120, 30 people who are online now, using this forum to say, thank you, IGIB, for making my dream come true. And this pandemic has been one which made me believe that my staying back in the country to do science and not to take the opportunity in 1990 to go away to Berkeley, Lawrence Liverpool Lab, to participate in Human Genome Project. 30 years later is well served. You did it. You made it happen. Thank you, IGIB. Thank you all the people, from the staff, from the administration, to everybody who made it possible. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Brahmachari. It has always been a pleasure to be associated. It will be a pleasure to stay associated. And thank you once again for the wonderful guidance regarding how to address problems of larger scale. And thank you again.
Thank you, sir. And as all good things have to come to an end, it's time to wrap up and conclude this wonderful session. I would take this opportunity to thank our eminent guests and speakers of the day for taking out time, especially Dr. Sodhi from his busy schedule and making out our Corona-inflicted Appreciation Day so interesting and so lively. Thanks a lot, Mitali, for connecting us and arranging this talk. A big thanks to Professor Brahmachari for always supporting IGIB, for always encouraging us. We often take advantage by making last-minute requests to you, but this is all out of respect and love, and thank you, sir, once again for your time. This program would not have been possible without the technological support from IGIB IT team. I thank each and every member of the Institute for coming online and making this a very memorable Appreciation Day celebration. The biggest thanks goes to our director, Dr. Anurag Agarwal, whose leadership qualities are outstanding. And so he inspires us all the time to take responsibilities without any fear of failure. And so I guess that's the mantra for the success at IGIB. In the past years, we have gathered for lunch at Mathura Road campus, which we are desperately missing. And the lunch is due on our director. We'll have it after the Corona ends. And you all may proceed for lunch at your respective places.